Good evening, all. This is the October 24th, 2024 Crescent Springs City Council meeting. Meeting is called to order. We'll have a pledge and a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First part of the prayer this evening, I'd just like to take a moment of silence. You'll notice that Mr. Daly's not here. He lost his mother this week, or actually late last week. So we can just have a moment of silence for Mom Daly, as he called her. Thank you. Dear Lord, we come together tonight to do the work of the city. Please put the best interests of our citizens and those who come and visit our fair city in our mind. Let us be kind in our actions and our words, keeping everything in front so we all know what's going on, and we do it with open minds and open eyes. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Roll call, please.
Janine Bell Smith.
Present.
Don Kiley.
Here.
Carol McGowan.
Here.
Mark Wurtenberger.
Here.
Bob Mueller.
Here.
Brian Barclay.
Here. Thank you very much. You all received the minutes from the September 23rd meeting in your packet. If there's no discussion, I'll take a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Janine Bell Smith.
Yes.
Don Kiley.
Yes.
Carol McGowan.
Yes.
Mark Wurtenberger.
Yes.
Bob Mueller.
Yes.
Brian Barclay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Fire Authority, Chief Went.
Good evening. 42 fire calls for September, 405 year to date, 114 ambulance calls, 920 year to date. The newest ambulance, the 2021, the transmission went out. It is under warranty. It's at Ford now to get that replaced. So hopefully we will get that back on Friday. We had another pretty spectacular run, a full arrest at Petco, and without getting into too much with the HIPAA violations, the gentleman was extremely hairy. Our police officers, thinking quickly like they did, grabbed the dog shears that were in the Petco because we could not get the defibrillator pads on him. Shaved his chest, and we were able to get him back, and he made a full recovery. The 8 people that were on the call will get a pin at the next Fire Authority meeting that says defibrillator saved.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
huge.
We did get turned down for our AFG grant for the air packs. So if we do not get them this year, we're going to be looking at $150,000 to replace those next year. They only have a 15-year lifespan, and they're on year 14 right now. So I'm working with Jim Cahill on the budget on that. And I think that's all I have.
Any questions for the chief?
Thank you.
Talk to the chief after the meeting.
Okay.
It's what you spoke to me about earlier?
Yes.
Yeah. Chief Hall.
Good evening, everybody. I know everybody got the packet. As far as calls for service and everything else is kind of run of the mill, obviously Buttermilk being top collisions, so I'll kind of skip all that. I'll go to our department news. All of our officers have been issued and qualified with our new pistols with the red dots, the Glock 45 with red dots on top of it. So you'll see that's where we did have a little larger amount of overtime because everybody had to spend some time transitioning to the new weapons and the new weapon system. So everybody has been allocated those weapons and have qualified them successfully. We did welcome Officer Christopher Schneider and Officer Nico Ciccanelli to the team. That does bring us to full staff of 15. Both of them are lateral transfers in, so we appreciate them being on the team and welcome them to it. They are out of their field training and out on the road, so if you happen to run across to them, please welcome them and say hi to them as well. We did sell 2 of our surplus vehicles as far as Villa Hills on govdeals.com, amassing almost $6,000 between the 2 vehicles. So happy to put that back into the general fund on that. Detective Lucas finished up the final 5 weeks of Criminalistics Academy, and that had a detailed forensics analysis, a visit to the body farm in Knoxville. He is the first detective from Villa Hills Police Department to successfully complete the Criminalistics Academy. So there's only been 10 classes before that. So huge amount of training, huge kudos to him and his accomplishments with that. Officer Stephan attended the Kentucky PCIS, which is the Post-Critical Incident Seminar. Sergeant Black attended a SWAT Negotiators Conference, a 3-day conference on his training and his area of expertise. It was the month of training, to be honest with you. Officer Dooley attended the KNOA conference and the NAPWADA conference. KNOA is the Kentucky Narcotics Association. NAPWADA is the North American Police Work Dog Association, so they were gone for that time. We did, on October 21st, we administered the promotional exam for a position of sergeant. The exams have been mailed off, waiting for those results to come in. They'll then have a interview or board, and we'll make a decision hopefully by the end of next month on who the next promotion will be. We'll create an eligibility list that is good for 2 years. We're still planning some fundraisers for Shop with Cop and Fireman, which is, I do believe, planned for December 11th, which is Wednesday, December 11th. So we appreciate everybody's interest, help, assistance, and just their buy-in with Shop with Cop Fireman. It's one of my greatest programs that we have. So,
Question.
sorry.
2 vehicles, $6,000. You said happy to send it back to the general fund.
Mm-hmm.
It was sold through Villa Hills. Who's getting it back to their general funds?
Villa Hills, because they were Villa Hills cruisers. They were before we ever
They
had
were
a
pre-
yeah, they're 2013 vehicles.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? Thank you, sir. Public Works, please.
I just want to go over a few updates here. Bromley Crescent Springs Road, there was a manhole down there that was failing on the new road. The state finally came out and they got that into the construction company with the state. They're going to get that fixed. Short Amsterdam, I don't know if you've been down at the striping down there. The county did their portion of the striping and Villa Hills' portion, and we're getting estimates to do our portion as of right now, along with a couple other roads up in town. Metalwood, the water main break at the stop sign, they have that on the list for repairs as of this week. So it should be done by the end of the week. We are still monitoring Lilywood and Caryview. As of right now, we don't have any new issues back there.
May I interrupt?
Yeah.
In the, I was walking the other day. I took a picture of it, but with Mike being out, I didn't send it to him. There's a probably 3-inch by 3-inch just square where somebody dug and it was marked and cut out in the blacktop right in the middle of the road.
Yeah, so right past Lilywood? Okay. Because there was
No,
one.
it's on the short, stubbed out cul-de-sac that, I think.
Okay, that they're just now doing? Oh.
No, the one that doesn't, I'll send the picture to you,
Since-
but just, yeah.
Okay, because there was one area that they are going to cut out and fix that we caught.
Oh, no, this is not.
Okay, okay.
This is not a larger repair where it slid or any of that stuff.
All right. Yeah, just send it to me. I'll go over there.
Thank you.
The park does, the restrooms do close this Friday the 1st. I'm not sure if anybody's seen the light at Sunoco where somebody hit it, just letting you guys know. The reason why it's still like that is he's working with Duke. The owner there and Duke are going together to put a new light pole in there. So that will be taken care of shortly. And then the Metalwood repair has been completed over on Metalwood.
Speaking of the park, can we take down, do we still need to have the COVID-19 signage
Yeah,
up?
I will take it down.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have, what's the timeline on getting the roads, as you call it, stripping or marking, the yellow, the white lines? Because they basically missed from Ashley Point, Crescent Point, all the way up into Forest Hill to stop, and then I think it should go down Bromley Crescent Springs towards Bromley. That needs to be finished. Do you know what the timeline on that will be?
I'm waiting for estimates right now.
How long is an estimate gonna take?
I don't know. I'm hoping they'll get back with me before the end of the week.
Because with getting darker and darker each day, It's important to be able to see those lines.
Oh, I agree.
And the road is in a mess anyway, needing to be resurfaced.
Right,
I have an issue, I'll address that later.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thanks.
So kind of doing the mayor's and city administrator's report together. All of Crescent Springs is voting this year at the firehouse, 777 Overlook. No one is voting here, no one is voting at Emerald Springs. All residents are to vote at the firehouse. Trick or treat on the 31st is from 6 to 8. If you see me, I like paydays. So have one out. And as far as our tax collections, we are about 80 to 90% collected. I don't have the exact number, but with a few days ago, we're doing very well. And that's all I have on that. Questions?
Is that both mayors and city?
Yes.
Okay.
Any old business? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I just have an issue about Bromley Crescent, Short Amsterdam, as to when that's going to be repaved and the sidewalk installed. I have written an article here that I've been researching and investigating this for a very long time. In fact, I went down to River Ridge way long time, and they had talked about Bromley Crescent Springs Road being taken care of, which it finally was. But Short Amsterdam is also supposed to be resurfaced, and also a sidewalk has been put in. In the meantime, I have talked to Chris Knuckleman about it. I've talked to Spencer Stork Public Works in Kenton, and I've talked to Ken Banta, and I've talked to Chris McDaniel and Shama Reddy from PBS. So I'm still trying to find an answer as to why, or when, and how, and how, when, where, whatever, how this will be done.
So the sidewalk is a project the county is running, and
Yes, I hear that.
and they are moving forward with that at their pace. You've talked to all of them. You might have more information than I do because that is the county project. As far as the resurfacing of Short Amsterdam, it'll probably be in next year's budget. We've applied for a grant from the state of Kentucky to do that road, Western Reserve, and Meadowwood.
All of our streets are in need of repair, I agree with that, but we can't wait till next year.
At this point, it's not in the budget for this year, so we're gonna have to,
Where do we get the money to put it so we can at least, it has to be at least patched. The patching is horrible. The street is deteriorating rapidly, and with the winter, it's only gonna get worse.
I'll drive down with Tanya this week and see about the patching.
You're gonna patch it yourself, did you say?
No, I didn't say I was gonna patch it
I'm
myself.
saying, yeah.
Please.
I thought I had put that on you, okay. You
No,
want the
you're not
patching?
putting that on me.
Well, maybe if you do the patching, maybe you'll get that,
No.
I'm not sure.
No. I'll ride with Tanya and look at the patching that might need to be done.
It-
And maybe I can get you to do the patching.
But no, I'm not very good at patching,
Yeah.
I just supervise.
Anything else?
What about the park grant update?
So the grant, it should go to the federal government in December to hopefully get the funding done. We should find out hopefully early first quarter that it's all done so we can start the process of getting that done. Also, you see on the agenda, there is another grant that April has found that'll actually pay for 85% of our portion. So it's possible that the park will be paid for almost entirely by grant. We should know that. That's part of we should find that part out relatively soon, correct?
In about a month and a half.
Yeah. And then once we get that all figured out, then we need to figure out, we've got money budgeted for the park. What else we might want to do there, if, especially if we get that second grant to pay for $220,000 of it. What other features we might want to add to the park? Would you like to do some research on that for us and see what kind of ideas we can come up with?
Sure, but I think, isn't there already like a committee that's kind of looked into phase 2? Or it was like an original area, right?
I don't think there's a phase, I don't think
Well,
there's actually.
we discussed a few
I mean,
things,
phase 2
like
is just like a.
the area that's not gonna be finished, possibly like tennis courts, pickleball courts, sand volleyball, something like
Yeah, so is there any like due diligence or any kind of like, I don't know, numbers associated
that.
with
Well,
stuff?
I think we were gonna move forward with the first part first,
Okay.
and then see what kind of money we had allocated left to do, something else.
So then do you guys just want to, I guess, continue on that path now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So with that, there was a gentleman that approached me via email that I had forwarded it to Mike Daly, and Mike Daly and I were going to speak to the gentleman and just meet him. And now, knowing that that committee's still around, I'll make sure that you're included with that. But essentially, the project idea that he was thinking of was a donation of these different activity pieces along the nature trail or somewhere in the green space to build that and do it through private partnership. And it would be more veteran focused. So I spoke with him for about half an hour in a conversation, met him, and then said, look, we can't progress any further, can't talk about anything else until, my family and everybody starts looking at it. So I challenged him to come up with a more clear vision of what he's saying and putting out. But I'll send the email to connect you with him tonight.
That's fine.
So there was nothing coming until you said that there was a section or a.
Well, we haven't had a meeting in a while, but.
Yeah, well, it's contagious, so.
Good. Anything else?
I have a question for April. Said we got an email earlier in October from Mike that you and him had gone and inquired or learned about the county priority projects program for some road project work.
That's correct.
Do you know if any of the projects we're planning in the historical part of town would qualify under that? I don't know that you know tonight, but
It would. Right now, the mayor had mentioned the grant for Western Reserve, Short Amsterdam, and Meadowwood. That is the grant that we have applied for those streets.
under that county priority program.
Right, so our hope is that they continue this next year after we have a little more planning for Old Crescent Springs available, so that we could possibly use that to apply again for Old Crescent Springs.
Okay.
That was just an idea that was thrown out. That's not that's not saying you're doing that, but that was just our thoughts.
Okay. Thanks.
I would just like to mention, since Mr. Flaherty is in the audience, last month we had a discussion about an ad hoc committee that Mr. Barclay is on, and I know that you've already made your determination. The question was about open meetings, and before I finished my review, the mayor had already decided there were going to be open meetings, and I would concur in that actually after finishing my review.
Thank you.
Then there has not been a meeting yet.
No.
Any other old business? New business. Reading municipal order 2024-11, declaring some property surplus.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Municipal Order 2024-11, a municipal order of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, declaring certain personal property of the City of Crescent Springs as surplus and authorizing the disposal of said property in accordance with state law. Whereas the city owns many separate items of personal property as further described in the attached Exhibit A, which you should all have a copy of. Whereas the items that are further described in the attached Exhibit A are in such a condition that the cost of repair exceeds the value of the personal property, and said items are unusable to the city at this time, and whereas both the mayor and the city council have determined that it is in the best interest to dispose of those items that are described in the attached Exhibit A, and whereas the city now desires to declare the personal property described in the attached Exhibit A as surplus property, and disposal of said property shall be made in accordance with KRS 82.083 et sec. Now therefore be it ordered by the mayor and city council of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that the mayor and or his designee be authorized to undertake the disposition of the personal property described in the attached Exhibit A, either by sale to a third party, sale for scrap, or other disposal in a manner consistent with the public interest as set forth in KRS 82.083. As such personal property is surplus property, the mayor and or his designee is authorized to execute any necessary documents to transfer the personal property described herein. Any funds derived from the disposition of the personal property shall be paid into the general fund of the city as required pursuant to KRS 82.083 subsection 6.
Thank you very much. The list was in your packets. Just for people listening, there's some mowers, the old conference room table, a couple credenzas, some shelving units, and I think the biggest item on there is a 2011 Ford F-350 pickup truck that is currently in the parking lot. So those will be put on Gov Deals, and we'll try to dispose of it as we have with excess property in the past. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Janine Bell Smith,
Yes.
Don Kylie,
Yes.
Carol McGowan,
Yes.
Mark Wittenberger,
Yes.
Bob Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Barclay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The next is Resolution 2024-4. This is for the grant that we were speaking of earlier in regards to our portion of the payment for the park.
Resolution number 2024-4, a resolution of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky authorizing the completion and filing of a Government Resources Accelerating Needed Transformation Program grant with the Cabinet for Economic Development relating to the, quote, grant program of 2024, unquote. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky as follows. The City Council for the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky does hereby authorize the mayor and/or his designee to prepare and file a Government Resources Accelerating Needed Transformation Grant for the grant program of 2024 with the Cabinet for Economic Development in the amount up to $237,313. City Council for the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky further authorizes and directs the mayor and/or his designee for the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky to execute any documents which are deemed necessary by the Cabinet for economic development to carry out this project. And the City Council for the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky further authorizes the mayor or his authorized representative to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. And the City Council for the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky further permits review and execution of all agreements and request of all disbursements related to the grant program of 2024. Whereas the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky desires to promote and carry out community development efforts on behalf of the residents of the City of Crescent Springs by supporting the grant program of 2024 project. And whereas the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky is submitting an application for the following federal grant program, Land and Water Conservation Fund, with the intent to access federal grant resources that are in the public interest and for a public purpose. The city may seek funding assistance in preparing and/or completing applications for federal resources. Whereas the City of Crescent Springs recognizes that the grant program of 2024 monies available to the city for the purpose stated herein pursuant to KRS 147A.147A.150-147A.166 impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the City of Crescent Springs and will require, among other things, 1, approval of a satisfactory application submitted to the Cabinet for Economic Development for approval, 2, proper registration to do business within the Commonwealth, and 3, other obligations of the city in connection with receiving the grant program of 2024 monies for the purposes stated therein. Now, therefore, be it resolved this 28th day of October 2024 by the City Council of the City of Crescent Springs that a grant program of 2024 application on behalf of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky for the grant program of 2024 monies up to $237,313 for the Lou Hartfield Memorial Park playground reconstruction shall be submitted to the Cabinet for Economic Development. The city shall provide such additional information and furnish such documentation as may be required. The authorized representative shall act as the authorized correspondent for this project.
So this kind of goes back to something I believe it was Councilmember Kylie asked when we went to the, when we didn't think we were going to get the grant from the federal government, looking for more funds. This is more funds to help the city. So it doesn't slow down the process at all. We're still waiting on the federal government. This will be done before that. But it is a way for us to possibly get up to $237,000 towards the park. So that almost all the park will be paid for by grant money, giving us those funds to do other things in the park or for the residents.
Are there any weird loopholes, like the last one, you have to check to do anything, stuff like that?
No, because we're still, it's our match for that other grant that it's covering. So once that other grant's approved, and if we get this grant, we're good to go.
Okay.
We have to wait to spend this.
Because we're not allowed to spend the other one yet, but yes, we're waiting to spend this, but we would be awarded it, hopefully, to use when we start spending the other.
What's the process for this? We gotta write a letter or what? Is it,
There's a grant application that I filled out, a letter of endorsement from the mayor, which he's written, just various documents.
okay.
But I think we are ready to, once this is the last document, if I'm correct, that we need to, is the approval of this, the council.
And it has to be submitted by November 1st to be reviewed in November.
Okay.
Wow.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second? Second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Janine Bell Smith,
Yes.
Don Kylie,
Yes.
Carol McGowan,
Yes.
Mark Wittenberger,
Yes.
Bob Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Barclay.
Yes.
Thank you all very much. Let's hope we get that.
Well done, April.
Any committee reports?
I have a question. Is the Transparency and Communication Committee still a committee? Hasn't met in almost 2 years.
Councilmember Bell Smith, that's your committee. You plan on holding any transparency committee
We have
meetings?
been with Mr. Daly. Mr. Barclay doesn't come to our meetings. The first couple meetings I had, Mr. Barclay said he wasn't coming anymore. Is that right, Mr. Barclay?
Nope, that is not accurate.
Well, that's what we hear. We were quite angry the first day that we met, and I showed you what the agenda would be and asked you if you wanted to add anything to the agenda, and you were extremely insulted. Remember that?
No.
Oh, you don't?
So you've been having meetings but not publicizing them?
I have, no, we have really not had, because a lot of the meetings that we have been canceled, rescheduled. They go into a special meeting. It's been an issue.
April, have you posted?
And Mr. Daly was basically guarding us. He was a part of that communication and transparency committee, and I think we do need it. I don't think there's enough communication, there's not enough transparency, there's not enough oversight because of the lack of communication, because it's just like this meeting today. We just hear about this November the 1st, it has to be filed. I've looked up what you have to send out, and all of a sudden, here it is, we're gonna do this. How much time did we have to even look at this and find out what this new grant was going to be for? We had like 5 hours. When it was first sent out, there wasn't anything on there, April, did you know that?
I didn't
It didn't say what the meeting was about, it didn't say what the grant was about, and it didn't say the amount of money that they were requesting.
today.
I'm sorry?
You sent a correction out today.
It was the same document, the 37 or 300. The numbers were all that was entered.
Yes, you did send it out. When I basically looked at my set, and I basically printed them out, it was an empty, and because then I'm going online and looking about where this came from, and how far back it was to research it, and I found quite a bit of information on it. But I like the idea that it will help us pay for the park. But what I'm saying is, it was sent out with a blank piece of paper. I mean, it had the information on there, but it didn't have the information that we needed. We didn't have the amount, we didn't have the time and what it was for. Is that correct? Because then you
Well,
actually said that it was changed.
We're getting off the topic here of the question that was asked. So
Got
yes,
it.
it was missed, she corrected
We got
it.
it.
So the question is, are you gonna hold
Yes,
meetings?
absolutely.
And they'll be on the schedule and they'll be
Once-
announced and.
Let's get any of,
That's-
any of communications and be people to work with us on it. Because
That's-
Mike and I, we tried to make it happen. Mr. Barclay refuses to come.
That is a complete misrepresentation.
No.
What has
Okay,
been
let's-
happening, what has been happening is trying to hold ad hoc meetings instead of following governmental procedure, which has been laid out to you multiple times as to not violate open records rules and laws, which Mr. Flaherty highlighted about the old Crescent Springs stuff. To make sure that we're actually doing things above board, but not following procedure is the reason why there hasn't been a meeting. It hasn't been because I've canceled or I've declined to come. The only meeting that I've actually declined
If
to
that's your
come
defense,
to,
Mr. Barclay,
the
that's fine
only
with
meeting that I've
me.
actually declined to come to was the meeting between you and the mayor and Mike Daly and Michael Baker about things that you alleged over email. But that's for a
Alleged?
different subject.
I don't
So
think you would
there's
put
only
that
one,
dirty laundry
there's
out
only
to
one
the
thing,
public, do
there's
you?
only one time that I've ever declined, and that was that meeting.
So, Councilmember Bell
I
Smith.
think that's a fabulous idea, and I hope that Mr. Barclay will go along with
Well,
us.
you are the chairperson of that committee,
Absolutely.
so it's up to you to make it happen.
I do. I had my agenda all set, ready to go. Did my
Make sure it
homework.
goes out before the meeting is scheduled.
Oh, I bought, yeah.
But we have to
that's very
schedule a
good for
series,
that.
right? It can't just be.
I believe there is a date. Is there not a date for that meeting? Because we tend to do that in the beginning of the year.
Right, whatever was published at the beginning of the year.
What is that date? What day is our committee meeting on?
We were gonna meet on Thursdays,
The first, second, third, fourth? Which Thursday?
first,
First Thursday? At what time?
It's November 7th.
5 o'clock.
We'll double check that and make
The
sure.
Communication and Transparency Committee meetings listed on, the ones that were published, it was listed as to be announced because I never received the information.
Okay, so we have the information now. It's the first Thursday of every month at 5 PM in the council chambers.
And who's on that committee then? Mr. Daly, Mr. Barclay,
And yourself.
and myself, 3 of us. Thank you.
I believe that's the committee that was appointed back at the beginning of the year. I
Oh,
believe.
yes, I saw the documentation of it.
So,
Until January 1st, these are special meetings, correct?
Because it wasn't set.
It
in
wasn't
that
set in
municipal
January.
order. Yes, those would be special meetings.
so please get your agenda out so that the agenda can be sent out.
You are limited to what's on the agenda for discussion, for special meetings.
On a special meeting, you must have your own, I got that.
Thank you. Any other committee reports or questions?
Villa Hills Fire Authority, or Crescent Hill Fire Authority met. Chief addressed a staffing issue that we were seeing because volunteers are, volunteerism is down, if it's more aptly put it. So, we are running under in the staffing budget, which is good. It's going to be reevaluated as a new firefighter comes on and the benefits that they take to get solid numbers, but it's within the staffing model and within the pre-approved funding to hire 2 part-time firefighters for first shift coverage. So we discussed that and we moved forward with that. So the chief was moving forward with that. Beyond that, pretty vanilla meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any updates with the concrete work up there?
Chief, you can course
Yeah,
correct.
So we're waiting on Brand Center Care, we'll finish up the whole, there's 10 items on the punch list, including the concrete, which includes a 5-year warranty on the concrete. We're just waiting for the paperwork.
Okay.
Is that, excuse me, is that 5 years due to failure only or dissatisfaction too?
It's dissatisfaction with the cracks that are
Okay.
currently shown.
Thank you.
Hearing no more. Any residents or citizens' comments?
Yeah, I want to thank Mr. Baker for getting back to me about the ad hoc committee, and thank you, Mayor, for agreeing to have open meetings. You kind of preempted my little spiel here, because I did research on my own, and it is part of the open meetings statute. So, again, thank you for doing that. The other question I have, and Mr. Baker might be able to answer this, and hopefully our council knows the answer to this. What is the difference between an ordinance, a municipal order, and a resolution?
Very little.
I mean, I have the answer here, but I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Well, municipal orders and resolution are very similar, and they essentially are governance issues, policy issues. Ordinances are certainly funding issues. Matters that create additional staff, for example, would require an ordinance. Giving council a raise would require an ordinance. Things that impact the budget generally require an ordinance. So when there's a request to purchase additional equipment, for example, that is something that has to come out of the budget, and that's why that would normally go through an ordinance unless it's already been approved in the budget. And then we could do a municipal order.
Now, a resolution, as I understand it, is basically indicating the will of the council, but does not have the same strength as an ordinance. In other words, it's not a
I
law.
would generally agree with that. The state is fond of using resolutions, and whereas I might not have used the word resolution, for example, the one tonight is at the instance of the Cabinet for Economic Development. They like resolutions. Our municipal road aid that we do every year is generally a resolution. So I think that's more of something that comes from the state than any. We have had resolutions, to honor someone or, declare a policy, but usually it's the resolutions because it's coming from the state.
So this is from the Legislative Research Commission, and if you'll allow me, I'll read what a resolution is. A resolution is not statutorily defined, but is distinguished from an ordinance as being an act of a special or temporary character, not prescribing a permanent rule of government, but merely declaratory of the will or opinion of a municipal corporation in a given matter. Where an ordinance is basically a law.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with what you just said.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, just 2 quick questions. Are the 2 part-time firefighters, are they on top of the, do we have 8 now that are on the books?
Chief, is our current, I know that's what
We
was
have 8
approved.
full-time.
Right now, okay.
This is just a reallocation of funds that we had so that we have more at night. So currently there's 4 at night, this will bring us up to 6 at night.
6 full-time now?
No, they're part-time.
Okay. And then also, I think, Brian, you said something about the volunteers are down. Or is that being communicated or advertised for volunteers?
Chief?
Yes, we always advertise for volunteers. We've actually restarted our junior firefighter program, which we take 15-year-olds. But usually, like things like the open house, we get 2 or 3 people that are interested, and we didn't get any of this.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thanks very much. Anything else?
Got one thing. So I just found out about, I guess, the city of Erlanger's got a big project plan. Has anybody approached our city? Or will this have any impact on us?
We don't know what the impact is going to be. Mr. Mueller has been in contact with the city of Erlanger, and we're looking, and this all came about at the time that Mike's mother was passing.
Yeah.
So we haven't got anything set in stone yet, is what we're gonna do, but we are gonna be involved in the communication in that, because it's gonna at least back up to the city.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's gonna enter the city, but it would at least back up to it, along the back crossings and reserves, and then down along, follow the dry creek and that. So more to come on that. That's about all we know right now.
In Lincoln KY's comment section, one of Erlanger's council members was kind of chatting with people in there. And I pressed it a little bit and I said, so where are you at? So they've got 1.15 million secured. They went out and said they broke ground on this project. What they've broken ground on seems to be just their parking and their dog park over off Turfway, right? Mm-hmm. And that they're still working on rounds of funding, public-private partnerships, and then council would have to vote their council would have to vote as well. And the scope, budgetary scope that I saw was 40 million. So they have 1 out of 40. So it definitely made a really big splash, but it's a long road.
Yeah.
Anything else? Hearing nothing, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Sure. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all.
Perhaps, now really now, it's pretty much.